In the village of Anand in Gujarat was born one such Gandhian dream. It began as a modest milk producers cooperative, collecting about 200 litres of milk a day. An indigenous response challenging the might of the giant Paulson Limited. During the last 50 years, it has transformed into a corporate success story, collecting over 1 million litres of milk every day and producing butter and related products under the brand name of Amul. The story of Amul has been replicated in many other parts of the country, offering a model which truly synthesizes the Gandhian approach to economy.
What we are talking about is seeking the larger dimensions of development, which is development of man. Development of milk, development of cows is not so important as development of man. And to develop man, you have to involve him in the processes of development. You have to create structures he commands. You have to give him the responsibility so that he becomes responsible.
Although Nehru had great respect for Mahatma Gandhi's views, he was a man in a hurry and believed that only through science and technology and industrialization could he hasten the pace of progress. He believed that the planning process was a crucial element in the making of a new India. Published in December 1952, the first 5-year plan of the Government of India stressed the role of the state as the prime mover of change. The focus of the plan was the rural sector, and specially production of food grains. A primarily agrarian economy could not afford to ignore the agriculture sector. India, after all, was composed of over 600,000 villages, and the landholding patterns in these rural areas was shaping the distribution of economic wealth in the country. For Nehru and his colleagues, land reforms was an essential input in this building of modern India, and only through this could social justice and equitable distribution of wealth be achieved. Land reforms had been a political commitment by the Congress even prior to independence. It had declared that the land must belong to the tiller. Rural debts should be written off for agricultural laborers and state credit institutions nationalized to replace the evil money lenders. The aim was to wipe out all traces of landlordism and semi-feudalism. But the reality was different. In most cases, it was difficult to implement because the rural rich dominated the establishment and they resisted change. Therefore, even if zamindari was officially abolished, radical agrarian reforms which were required never took place. By the time Indira Gandhi was sworn in as Prime Minister on the 25th of January 1966, the country was still dependent on imported food grains to feed its people. In 1966, drought and an impending famine-like situation was prevalent in parts of the country. India had barely recovered from the disastrous war in 1962, when the 1965 Indo-Pakistan War had taken place. By late 1966, food riots and spiraling inflation made the situation tense in some parts of the country. Mrs. Gandhi knew that the country had to achieve self-sufficiency in food, and at the earliest, if it was to feed its teeming millions. A decision was taken to encourage farmers to use high-yielding varieties of seeds.
From about 1968 onwards, our progress was more towards yield per hectare or per area, and that was caused about by the high-yielding varieties of wheat, of rice, of jowar, bajra, maize, and they were all grown with water, irrigation water, and good soil fertility management. The high-yielding varieties were capable of converting irrigation water and soil nutrients into grains. This is what we started calling Green Revolution.
Dr. M.S. Swaminathan was one of the motivating spirits of this green revolution, and he remembers those heady days which to a great degree transformed the rural landscape of the country.
When a farmer, poor farmer, produced 5 tons of wheat where they were only producing 1 ton, the whole technology spread like wildfire. A small government program became a mass movement, and that was a great accomplishment. Otherwise, the Green Revolution would have never come by any government program. It had to come, government was a trigger, a catalyst, but it was the farmers who made it a movement.
For a few weeks every year, this man, the Met Officer in Thiruvananthapuram, becomes one of the most sought-after prophets in the country. His job to predict the arrival of the monsoon. From these verandas, he watches and studies the coming of the cloud patterns. The build-up which heralds one of the most sensational natural occurrences in the country. The dark brooding clouds, the bearer of torrential rain, which has come to symbolize relief from the oppressive summer heat and portends prosperity for the land. For the monsoon is inextricably linked to the country's agricultural fortunes, which in turn